Now that business valuation has a ceiling of X, it might have a floor of 0 because that landlord could evict you and you could have a business with no location in 3 months. That's a terrible situation.
How is it that you are able to sort of bring your expertise on the real estate side to blend it with the M&A world?
What I realized, and I realized the EPI could offer this to me, was I needed better skills to be able to talk about their world through the lens of de-risking attractiveness and readiness. That's when I realized, like, oh, there's a big void here.
You also say that most business owners completely overlook commercial real estate as a strategic asset. What do you mean by that? So, Jason, for anyone meeting you for the first time, who are you and what do you do today in the commercial real estate and exit planning world?
Yeah, so first thing, outside of business, I'm a compulsive snowboarder. So I like to do that anywhere that I can, as often as I can. It's a little challenging in the US right now, so I'm starting to look abroad, but that's going to happen soon.
Wait, why is it challenging?
Not enough snow here.
Really?
Yeah, Vermont is about the only place in the country that's really got a lot of it right now. And if I'm going to go there, I'm going to go to Europe.
Wow. Well, I was in France not too long ago. We were in is it Chamonix? I think it's called. Wow, dude. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. That's where you want to go. I mean, literally, it's like a freaking Christmas card, and in the backdrop you see Mont Blanc, and it's just like it's beautiful. Great skiing, by the way. But go ahead.
Yeah. So my last European trip was in France/Switzerland as well. I went to Avoriaz, which is part of the Port de Soleil. I could see Mont Blanc from where we were, but it was one of those places where if you go left, you're in Switzerland. If you go right, you're in France. And it was.
Yep, that's kind of where we were. We like literally went around, and it's like Switzerland was right there. It's pretty cool.
Yep,
So
loved
go
it.
ahead, tell me.
Yeah. I'm a quant at heart. In a former career, I was a civil engineer in New York. I was a PE. But that's the way my brain works. I'm a process guy. I'm a quant. I'm a finance person. But I'm also entrepreneurial, and that's why I'm not an engineer anymore. And as a result, my path in my career has always been kind of adjacent to investment opportunities, quantitative stuff. And 8, 9 years ago, it landed me a role within Linville Team Partners, utilizing my quantitative skills, my past personal real estate investment experience to form a unique offering within the commercial real estate world that really kind of centers on having a foot in traditional commercial real estate activities, which is what everyone thinks of. And this is kind of like one of the hurdles I have to overcome in the exit planning world is it's not just brokerage. Now, my firm really does two different things. It does the traditional stuff, which is commercial real estate brokerage and property management. But then on the other side, we are strategic business advisors working with business owners and brands to help them navigate their real estate related journey to help them either grow or exit. So that kind of explains why I'm unique in the SEPA world is really, I don't come from pure brokerage and I don't come from pure business advisory. I kind of have a foot in both camps.
Okay, so tell me more. How do they blend? How is it that you are able to sort of bring your expertise on the real estate side to blend it with the M&A world?
Yeah, so one of the things that we created in our business advisory space was a buy-side M&A firm. So we were working with brands that were looking to grow via acquisitions. And just the nature of these brands, very real estate centric in nature, but yet they were extremely well capitalized. We built an M&A group that was focused on helping them buy existing companies. And over a 5 to 6 year run rate, we probably did 160 M&A deals over that period of time. And so it was that M&A activity that got me into the exit planning in the SEPA universe because, my quantitative nature, my process nature, I was really good at talking to business owners about the journey of an acquisition, like what that process looks like, what the valuation looks like, just, getting them from start to finish in a transaction. But what I realized, and I realized the EPI could offer this to me, was I needed better skills to be able to talk about their world through the lens of de-risking attractiveness and readiness. And so that's kind of what got me in the SEPA world, was really just to accelerate my own personal knowledge about M&A activities. And when I got there, that's when I realized, like, oh, there's a big void here.
What are the profit and loss blind spots in commercial real estate decisions?
Oh God, that's a good question. Blind spot is not understanding what a market-based rent is. And there's a couple ways to look at that. It depends on the business type and depends on the real estate asset type. 10,000 square foot warehouses, I can easily comp what other businesses are paying to occupy 10,000 square foot warehouses. That gives me an asset based comp. The other approach, though, is this individual's business. We're calling it whatever type of widget maker exists in that 10,000 square foot warehouse. What can that business afford to pay as a sustainable rent? So those are two separate and not necessarily equal ranges of floor and ceiling rents, right? An extremely profitable business can pay a little bit more in rent. Maybe what would be typically above market for the real estate asset class, right? So if you can understand what is like a maximum sustainable rent that the business can pay to the real estate entity, that will help you grow your real estate values faster. But the key is it's got to be sustainable, right? We've all heard private equity stories where they've nuked the business because they tried to maximize the value of the real estate and they set unsustainable rents. Red Lobster is a good example of that. They got that. They were a bit too aggressive. Yes. So that's a blind spot. And then the carryover of that market-based rent blind spot is then the valuation exercise of the real estate itself, because one leads into the other. And so the valuation components can be blind if you don't know what your market rent is. So there's a correlation there.
Yeah, it's a major effect on it if you're not paying market rent, or
Yep.
vice versa. Go ahead.
I was going to say the other blind spot that we commonly see is for business owners that rent their commercial space. They don't really have a good understanding of what their lease says.
Their own lease, or
the lease that the lease that the business signed to occupy the space.
Got it.
It's not their own lease. It's when they have a third party landlord.
Okay.
Most business owners can tell you when the rent's due and how much it is, but understanding, their timelines, their options, their, the proper division of landlord and tenant responsibilities and the resulting P&L impacts, like those things kind of get lost in the churn. And we see errors and both to the pro and the con for the business owner by lack of knowledge of the lease and the lease terms. Here's a great example of like where there's upside sometimes in leases. I'm working with a gymnastics school owner in the Midwest, and she leases her location. And the gym owner years ago, when they designed this lease, provided her as the tenant with a purchase option, which for tenants, that's great. For owners, I recommend owners never give purchase options in their lease, right? So already it's a tenant favorable term just to have that purchase option. But what happened in this lease is that when it was signed, they also wrote a strike price into the lease. So not only do you have the option to buy it, but here's the predetermined price. Yeah, it happens. It happens. And
that's so out of the ordinary, though. She would have known that was in there.
She knows that it's in there, but for some reason I can't get her to execute yet. So the value of the real estate is probably double what her strike price is in her lease. And so we're exploring options to grow her net worth in a very chunky fashion.
Interesting.
She needs to take advantage of that lease and take advantage of that purchase option.
Can you tell us the time? Go ahead.
I was going to say, now the downside is, and this is the worst case scenario with business owners not understanding their lease, is when they're going through the process of getting their business ready to sell. Mm-hmm. And they'll work with an M&A advisor that takes them through a valuation exercise and prepares their SIM and gets them ready to go to market. And all the focus is on the business asset. And from time to time, and I've got a couple live cases of this right now where I'm trying to help the business owner solve for it. Only when that business was taken to market did they recognize that business was on essentially a month-to-month lease. They had no terms. They were operating at the pleasure of the landlord. And that's a terrible situation, right? Because now that business valuation, it has a ceiling of X, it might have a floor of 0. Because that landlord could evict you and you could have a business with no location in 3 months. That's a terrible situation. I typically throw out the McDonald's versus Chick-fil-A example. I don't know if
Okay.
you've ever thought about it in this lens, right?
I
McDonald's, everybody knows, right? They own all their real estate, right? But if you look at McDonald's and Chick-fil-A, right? Unlimited access to capital, right? It's not they don't have a sources problem, right? But McDonald's elects to own all of its real estate, and they use that ownership of the real estate as essentially a hedge against their business operations. Every operator pays rent to McDonald's real estate entity, and it works out great, right? But it's so there's income coming in via two channels, right? So it hedges the business. Now let's look at Chick-fil-A, right? Chick-fil-A, they can get all the capital they want too. Historically, they have chosen not to own a majority of their real estate. They're owning more and more over time, but historically, they would rent their space from a landlord or an investment group that helped, provided them with the opportunity to operate as a chicken provider. Really, what that means is Chick-fil-A is chosen to invest their capital in their operations. And you can't really argue with that result either, right? Because an average Chick-fil-A open 6 days a week does close to $9 million in sales, versus a McDonald's it does 4, right? I mean, they're in the same business, but yet they have wildly different strategies for totally valid reasons, right? So, at a macro level, that's the lens I like to look through it, in the hopes that I can explain to someone that there is no right answer. There's no absolute preferred path. But you can get a screaming deal on real estate, buy it.
I love it. I love it. Do you think that entrepreneurship is for everybody?
Well, everyone likes to tell. Like, if you look at YouTube, it's like, oh, this is for everybody. But unfortunately, no. The answer is entrepreneurship is not for everybody. And the statistics are that 5 to 8% of the people actually can be entrepreneurs and are entrepreneurs, but only 1% of those people actually become millionaires. And, what would you say on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody. There takes a lot of mental and physical and emotional effort that goes into it, and you have to have all these things to develop yourself and to being that person. And that's why I think we're passionate about coaching and helping people, is because you can develop those areas.
And you have a false expectation if you think, oh my gosh, this is easy breezy lemon squeezy. And then that's what everyone on the internet tries to say.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, it's so much work. It's harder. You always say,
It takes twice as long and it costs twice as much. And you've got to be able to take the pain of having more money going in than you anticipated and it taking longer without quitting and giving up. And I mean, ultimately, if you can go in knowing that, I think you have even a higher chance of success. But ultimately, I think everyone thinks they've got it figured out. And most of the time, you're figuring it out as you go because there's curveballs that you didn't expect.
What separates a successful entrepreneur and an unsuccessful entrepreneur?
I think it's just being able to be hit so many times. You have so many unexpected hardships, and most of the time it just crumbles people.
All right, I'll extend this question to you. Is it a dollar amount? Is it like a certain amount of money that you make?
All right. So, I mean, I'm unique in the way that I look at success. And I think everybody looks at the kind of success as a little differently. But there's a movie called Family Man. And so, you watch this guy, he's this big business guy and does really well, drives fancy cars, lives in a nice place or whatever, but he lacks the family side, right? And then, he's got the other side where he works at a tire shop and he's got all the family stuff. And so, for me, the success is the balancing of those two. I don't want to have some successful business and not have a good family life. And I don't want to have all the family life and then feel like we're having to skimp and go by. And so, ultimately that is kind of the vision I look of as success, and trying to juggle and manage those two competing things.
I agree. I think for myself, over the last 2 years or so, I feel like I officially became a successful entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why, it's not because of any certain amount of money that I make, because I don't consider myself, like a mogul or anything like that whatsoever. Not there yet. I think for me, I've been able to not only balance the fact that I could live a good life while running my own business and businesses, but I also don't wake up stressed, in anxiety and in sweats in the middle of the night like I did for so long. And to me, that took a lot of work. That took, I tell it all the time on my show, that took some therapy as well. and a lot of meditation and just really coming to an understanding of
Peace.
really letting go,
Yeah.
letting go and allowing life to just sort of happen and not being afraid of the unknown and what's going to happen. And to me, that's happened to me over the last 2 years or so. And I feel for me, that's where like, okay, now I feel like a success because I could live a sustained life mentally, materialistically, and family wise as well.
And I think, one of the things I always say is that progress equals happiness. And if you're making progress, the problem is that if you look at most successful businesses, people want to just have this straight up line, but it doesn't always work that way. It's you go straight up, then you flatline, you might even go down, then you go up, and it's kind of this curve. But I think we've kind of, because we've done that in so many of our businesses, and people look at people who they look at this picture, they're in Turks and Caicos, they're partying, they're having this life. I think people have to understand that being an entrepreneur is harder than anyone could ever imagine. And there's so many people out there that really haven't built that much stuff, that they just pretend like they have the showy stuff. With AI, you can create all this stuff. And I think people understanding, because people want to quit because they have this vision of, oh, it's so easy and it's nothing but a climb up. Then we've lost so many entrepreneurs out there because they think, oh, something's wrong with me because I didn't go straight up. And there really are systems and there's hacks now to be able to keep climbing up, but understanding that sometimes you are going to flatline, sometimes you are going to go down, and that's okay. That's all part of the ride. I will tell you, there's two ways that he shines. He can look at a P&L in 3 minutes and be like, what? Talk about just some businesses you've helped when you look at the P&L.
Before I would look at that, what I would say is you have to be disassociated from money when you run a business. It's the weirdest thing. Like, I almost probably get this from a bad side of like, I would go to the casino and I could lose money or win money. It doesn't really matter. I like the entertainment of it, right? It's the same when it comes to business in a lot of cases. Is you're putting some money out there to market and go figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work, right? You can't be afraid to lose $20 at a casino. You can't be afraid to lose $1,000 in marketing. And they're afraid to do that. But they're spending $1,000 on something else that has no chance of making money.
They're spending money on people that are bringing in no ROI. For him, he literally looks at every person and goes, what are they bringing to the table? Like,
what do they add to the income sheet?
Yeah.
So which means that they're an expense, it has to be tied to an income. That's just a quick, easy
So
thing.
how do you determine like an administrator, an operations person that just,
well, then they'd have to be tied to one other part of it, because you have marketing, sales, and logistics. So which means they may be running logistics, but then the operation of what we're charging to the customer, in which that is really a curveball thing there, because the customer changes in some business models. But like what you're charging to the customer, they have to do a fulfillment for that. So if they were sending out gummy packets, then you want to make sure that they're being paid for how many gummy packets are going out. Well, if we're not selling any, then we don't need the person to do that. So you see there's a problem. Well, if we're not marketing, then we don't have sales, then we don't have the person that's running it. If we have the person running it, but we didn't market, so we didn't spend any money there, but now we're paying the person to sit here all day and twiddle their thumbs because they don't have anything to send out, then that becomes a problem, right? My marriage to her was more important to me than any other business. And there's nothing in the business that I wouldn't sacrifice for keeping the relationship as the hierarchy. So that had to happen, because then you have to have the friction in the business to choose. Do you want to be right or do you want to be together, right? Like, and so I go, I'll lose in the argument and go, we'll figure out whether we're right or wrong through that path. And, and sometimes she's right, sometimes I'm right. It doesn't really matter, but then it mattered that we kept moving forward.
So Michael Jordan talked about where he always demanded the best of all of his teammates and they hated him for it. And I demand the best out of him and he demands the best out of me, and we don't hate each other for it. And I think that's really important, because if you look at the people who've won championships, they've won wealth, they demand the best out of each other.
You got to tell
me
the Coldplay story.
We do this new thing where we go into the shower and we have this cold.
We do the sauna
shower,
and it's a shower.
They have this cold shower, and I'll go in for like 50 seconds, and then I'll be like, there, see if you can go.
And I would let her win, and she would get mad at me for letting her win because she actually just thought I was weak. Like you're just not as strong as me. And so then I went and did it. Well, it's on a timer of 3 minutes. And so she did one, I don't remember what it was. Like she did like 50 or something like that. And I just said, forget it. I'm staying the whole time. And so it was like 180 I did or whatever it was to just go, I can push. I'll show up if you need me. And that's what I want her to know is that it doesn't matter. She wants the best for me. I will always be able to show my best whenever it's needed. So, but she's pretty tough. So she's tough. She did a boot. What is that burn thing or whatever it is?
Body pump.
All right, I can't keep up with her in that, but I'm gonna beat her in.
It's a
I'm gonna
workout class that we do.
It's the toughest thing in the world. It's not like going to the gym. There's like 1,000 reps you do, and she does this like 5 times a week. And I went in like twice, and I was like crying like a baby afterward. I was like, how did she do this?
Well, and I think tracking your success every single day, I think is really, really important. And I think that figuring out, okay, what am I going to do to win? And I will say this, one of my favorite CEOs was the CEO of Waze. And he did a podcast one time and he literally said this. He said, when we looked at the companies that won and the companies that lost, if we looked at the ones that lost, he said to them, when did you know that your team wasn't right on the companies that failed? And they always said within the first 30 days. And he said, and as a CEO, you're either don't have the guts to make the tough decision to get rid of the team members that aren't right, or you're too stupid. And either one, you're not doing the job as a CEO. And so I think it's just making the tough decision to go, looking at every person and going, with this person, am I creating a winning team? Do I have to micromanage them? Are they a self-starter? Do they have what it takes? And can they take the ball across and we've had to challenge each other on that. And I go, the team that you have right now in that company, and also just going, I don't have to be the CEO. Like hiring a CEO to take over to run that company. That's when you are taking it.
Well,
to
and making sure the
level.
right players are in the right seat, right? So assessing them, right? You don't want to have the quarterback on the line, right? When he can throw the ball and he has those things that you want to make sure you keep the right player in the right seat. And to go back on what she was saying is the CEOs all said they had the wrong team. But the point is we're not victims. The CEOs are running a company. They are not a victim. They need to decide, do they have the right players? Are they in the right seat? And then move in that direction. And once you know, become a person of action.
And there's also a place where there's a lot of stuff on the internet right now about like self-love and like you're just perfect the way you are. And nobody wants to challenge anyone.
You are perfect.
To challenge them to take them to the next level. Like, I think people are always like, oh, let's just coast. And that's not the people you need to be surrounded with, in my opinion. If you want to take it to the next level, you need someone who can say, I love you, but I know that you've got more in you right now. And I know that you can do better. Like, are you the kind of person who like, I resonate with who you are, but I can help take you to the next level? And do you have people around you that can take you to the next level? Like that cold plunge is a perfect example. Like, okay, no, we're not okay with just being here. We're going to take it up a notch.
I say take your soul. I say I'm gonna max it out. If you're gonna beat me, you better be able to go all the
Taking
way,
souls,
all the way.
like,
Because taking soul. Yeah,
guys.
exactly. I'm that mental toughness is challenging all the things that I quit a baseball team when I was a kid. And I've never forgot that I quit that baseball team. Yeah. I went and did all the work to make the baseball team and then I quit. And so ever since then, and I think I was like 14 years old, ever since then, I was like, I'm not feeling that feeling again.
Ryan, what's going to happen after this podcast? I kick your ass on the tennis court.
He's not going to let you.
Is this like, are you going to make this up on AI or like how does that? I'm just kidding. You probably would.
No, you probably will.
How does one surround themselves with high achievers and people who are able to, really push themselves to, because I think that is a trouble of an up and coming entrepreneur is I feel like it costs money and there's few opportunities. And that also leads me to, how do you know whether or not you are, let's say, finding the right coach or you're finding the right person to surround yourself with?
I think the perfect example is you, the fact that you're even sitting here right now. Because we were in that group and you didn't go into a group. We both went into a group and we went in for knowledge. But what happened is who you are said, I'm going to make the most of this opportunity, right? And so by setting up and finding the coach and doing something is one thing. what you do with the information and the experience and the relationships that come from it is a whole other part of it.
I'm glad you brought that up because I reached out to you.
Yeah, no, I know.
Just on a private message.
Because you wanted to maximize it, right? So these people need to make sure they're maximizing. They need to reach out. If they're not reaching out to us, you, us, whatever it is to reach out, then they're fumbling a part of what could be going on because they're talking themselves out of it. You didn't talk yourself out of reaching out and making the connection. And now here we sit, this time later, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that is a big part of this, is that they talk themselves out of how the coaching is going to help, how this is going to help, how this person is going to do this. Or I'm not going to do something with it. They just have to decide, I'm going to do something with it because that's who I am, and then do something about it.
And that I love you enough to not leave you where you are. Hanging out with those people, and every person, there is not one successful person that doesn't have a coach. To remind yourself, like, I know even in my own entrepreneur days, there were times where I had coaches and there were times when I didn't. Everyone needs a coach. Think about Tiger Woods. People could argue he's the best of the best. Does he have a coach? Yes. Every person has to have somebody that can help rise them to the next level. So if you don't have a coach, you've got to get one.
How did you make the last decision to hire your last coach per se?
I think for me, energy is really important. Like, does that person's energy make me a better person? And where are they? Like, I want someone who's kind of, 10 levels ahead of where I am. And so, and we spend a massive amount of money on coaching.
She's really good about that. Like I would probably pick a coach 1 or 2 steps ahead of me, right? Like that's how I would do. And she's like, no, we're going after the best. And she's like, because we're going to be the best, so we're going to pick the best.
Yeah, we're coaching with Ed Milet, Ryan Blair. These are people who are big time, they're next level, and so they're coaching us, and then we're now taking what they're teaching us and coaching other people.
I always say too, if you're going to be a coach, you better have a coach.
Yes.
Because there's only so much information that we have or that we learn through our own experience. There's so much more information that we get out there from books, from coaches, and from everything else.
It's a cheat code, man. I'm telling you.
It's a super cheat code.
I'm the anti-coach guy. Like, I'm like, no coaching. This guy had to basically say, all right, if you coach with me, you pay $1,000 to the church. Don't even give it to me. Give it to the church, and I'll coach.
That was the only way he did
That
it.
was the only way to get me in. I'm telling you, because I was like, no. And it changed everything. I mean, it literally, I have a notebook of stuff that I can now give out, and I hardly paid anything. He said, but this was his key. He said, so for every person that I coach, he said, I add up, and for every $14,000 I bring in, I can open a new church in Nicaragua. And then we went on a trip to go do that as well. And so, like, he was doing it for a bigger purpose. It wasn't about money. He was already in the B status. He didn't even care, but his thought pattern was so different than the way I thought. And I was never going to get that over $1,000 a month. $1,000 a month. I mean, can you think and imagine how dumb I would have been to not spend one that? Can you? I mean, you know what I'm talking about. So can you imagine?
And what's the $1,000?
And then
the
$1,000
$1,000
go to dinner, because the relationship comes from that, right? Once you make that investment, then we would go to dinner with his wife, and Chantel would go, and then he would tell him stuff. He would tell her stuff, and then she would beat me up about the more stuff I wasn't doing, because she'd be like, look, he already told you to do this, and then she would steal it and beat me to it, and so then the coach ended up helping her, and that wasn't fair.
Chantel, I walked into the house, and the first thing I asked Ryan, I said, "Is there a place that I could sit down?" There's a lot of chairs, and he mentioned that you do Bible study and all kinds of and that. How much is your faith and spirituality and just your overall belief had an impact on your success?
Well, I just finished writing a book called Tune In: God's Voice, Your Purpose, and I think that figuring out what your life's purpose is starts with hearing from God. And so a couple months ago, God put it on my heart to write this book, Tune In: God's Voice, Your Purpose, because I think that's one of the most important things that you can get, is to really be able to hear from God. What is your purpose here on earth? We're here for such a smidgen of time. The Bible says it's like a vapor. And so if you can figure out exactly what God wants you to do with your time, that's when you're going to be the most fulfilled. So,
and the Bible study.
Yeah, then I just finished writing. I'd love for people to be a leader and grab this Bible study and host a Bible study at their house, grab the book. We literally, it's done for you. So it's super easy. It has all the questions.
This is actually how we plan to get rich, is on the books and the Bible study
No,
stuff.
we make no money on that at all.
Oh, wait.
we just changed
Paying
hands.
money and time and energy.
Yeah,
to
we
go
make
do
no
it.
money on
But
the
we're
book.
not passionate about it.
Yeah.
So I've got I guess an interesting question then is everything is hustle culture right now. Like you go online, it's always just like do 1,000%. And we've been talking about that now. Ryan, I could pose this question to you. How much is it hustle culture and how much is it just overall belief and faith in yourself and surrendering to the things that sort of happen in life?
You know, it's a weird thing. And I mean, I'm sure you can relate to this as a guy. Like, as we go through it, there's this huge hustle culture in the beginning. Like, you've got to go do it. I mean, to attract the woman that you want, you better hustle, you better go make money, you better get out there and do it, because that's what you got to do. And at the same time, you get to a place where you're like, all right, I don't want to just hustle for one more office, one more dollar, because I want to be able to embrace what I have. And, you know, and a part of that is a value that I think we really glean from each other, because we go through both of these things where it's like, and mainly more her, she's more always hustle culture going, right? And like, I got to get on. I'm like, fine. Like,
I thought it was you.
I'd rather go walk on the beach with her.
No, my word of the year, you know how everyone comes up with one that God gave me, was surrender.
Nice.
That's
Have you
my
read
word
The
of the
Surrender
year.
Experiment
No, I
by
haven't.
Michael Singer?
No.
It's one of the best books in the world.
Really? I got to get
Just
that.
like that. Just like that.
I got to get
So
that.
she's a grinder, goes after, I mean, from the time she wakes up, she's like, I mean, we do a Bible study and stuff like that, but she's like on it, and then it's quickly into let's go, and doing all, and it's not even a money thing. It's just a drive to make an impact on the world, right? And then I'm more so like, all right, I'm like the, what is it? The Mary, you know, I would like gonna sit there.
Martha.
Yeah. And so, but at the same time, I can turn it on. Like, I turn it on, and when I do, I'm doing 100 things at once, because I want to get back to the downtime side of things. I don't want to be enthralled and have my whole space of my mind into something at all time, because then I can't come up with something new to create the vision of the life I want. Because if you stay too far in hustle, you can't think clearly. And when I can't think clearly, I can't operate well. And I want to operate well because I want to create the vision of what I want. And that's more important to me than the hustle or not hustle. I can't not hustle and not have success, because that I'll get bored. Like, one, she's going to be like, I needed a new pair of shoes. Not that she's a big shoe person, but you get the idea. And like, I got to go after it. At the same time, she's like, I'll go get my own freaking shoes. So she goes, I'm like, all right, she's not beating me in the cold plunge, right? Like, that's how I look at it. If she's working, I'm like, if she's working, she's outdoing me in the cold plunge. So it's the same thing. That's why we're good for each other for that.
How do you explain success, Chantel, to your kids without making it about money?
Yeah, I mean, back to the kind of the 7 pillars that we've kind of created. I think that he is the perfect example of, he always puts me and the kids first. I mean, there's never been a time that he doesn't. And so he really doesn't care about money. My goal is to live on 10% of my income and give 90% away. That's just something God put in my heart a long time ago. And so I feel like I have this drive to, because this is something I felt like God put on my heart to do, but I feel like, you know, it can get in the way of, like, again, I have to remember it still goes God first, then my husband, then our family, and then from there. So I think we always have to like reevaluate kind of our purposes and what we want to do. Cause I think I can, again, it's like, I'm so driven sometimes that it can
It's
kind
so
of
attractive though. Can you imagine if like you were a grinder, like me as being a grinder, and then she just sat around and ate bonbons? Like, I couldn't deal with that. I don't think either. And I would lose probably respect for her. And at the same time, I respect how hard she's driven in doing that. And so she didn't necessarily all the way answer the question. So if you will, I'll answer. Is she makes sure that Kyle does a routine every single day, right? He has to do Bible verses. If it wasn't for her, I probably would slack on that, right? So he memorizes Bible verses. She sends out sermons to our family. We have a group chat, so that always comes through. There's church on Sunday. And then there's the things she does that's just, she doesn't talk about it. She just does it. If she's writing a Bible study, shouldn't you? If she's managing accounting and reviewing P&Ls, shouldn't you? Like, if she's driving and doing media and grinding it out, shouldn't you? And so it's the example that she sets, as well as that is, I mean, she's very modest in how she handles herself. And she's very, what we would call vanilla. She doesn't cuss. She doesn't drink. She doesn't do drugs. Like all of that stuff is also teaching the success, right? Like it's not with words. It's just like she's not even doing that for them. She's just setting that example. It's like, this is the bare minimum of what I'm going to expect of you. You're going to be expected to take this a lot further. And I think that's the undertone of what she teaches them. So,
Woof. What about legacy, Chantel? How do you feel about that?
You know, I feel like I really wanted to be number one, create this national company, grow, scale. And I love to do that. And I love to teach people how to do that. But I think God has really just put this whole thing of surrender to me. And that, like, there's something called, like, when you die, there's your eulogy resume. And then there's your actual, like, business resume. And I think what God's kind of laid on me is like, when you die, do you care that people are going to say, oh, she was number one at this. She built this business. She scaled this. She owned 16 companies, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, I don't care about any of that. Like, what I care about is that people say she was a really wonderful mother. She was a really great wife. She was a.
say that.
You already have.
I do want to say something because there's something, and I know this is going to be really like, whoa, this is, but
I can't wait to
I
hear it.
feel like I feel really pressed to say this because I've been talking to some of our friends and some people that I know, and they're not having sex. Okay. And you know, my book is called Delegate Everything But Sex, but I just all of a sudden am
I don't know where this is going.
no, because I'm talking to all these people and I'm finding out we know one couple that it's been a year since they've had sex.
Oh,
Another couple, a couple of years since they've had sex. And they told us some of the reasons. And I'm like, this is a problem. You know, maybe my next book should be like, but I think, you know, this is a key to a good marriage for us, you know,
I like
is
how this came after the legacy question, by the way.
I think it's an important piece that we need to discuss.
I mean, it's important to build confidence, you know, in both people. It makes both people
Well,
secure. And those things erode what you do in business and everything else when you're lacking security, confidence, and, you know, and that aspect of life that you feel like your life can be pulled out from under you. And otherwise, then maybe trying to connect somewhere else.
Well, we had a rule. His rule was no more than 3 days that we would have sex.
Rule.
Yeah, like he basically said, "Look, I can't go." Like on the third day. Yes, you basically did.
Travel.
But then we went to a Bible study, literally. This couple said, "Well, we have a rule that we have it on the calendar that we have sex every other night." And so he looked at me and he's like, "Oh, well, this 3 day rule is completely out. We're doing it every other day. It's on the calendar no matter what." You know, sometimes we have sex more than that, but I actually wrote a bonus chapter for my book on Delegate Everything But Sex on it. It's called How to Have Great Sex. And I literally wrote some tips down. It's actually on the Delegate Everything But Sex site. And it's all about some different things that we do to spice up our sex life. So I just feel like
people don't like to talk about it. But
yeah,
ultimately the thing is that's why someone should or would want to go buy the book. And at the same time, that's what would motivate me as a husband to go out there and go grind because I want to make her proud and attracted. And at the same time, it's what makes her as a wife go out and do what she does because she wants to be attractive, right? And so this is what we talk about when it's like, you know, I don't want to say it, but tots and terriers, right? Like it's one of the things that drives in the world, and you can get a lot more out of business and life and things like that if this is a piece that you don't just push off to the side, that it's like, all right, we're just, you know, saving the mannequin.
Well, no, if you go downstairs, like we have dinner completely made. Every bed in our house is made. Our house always looks very clean and put away. Like there's nothing out of sorts. But it's because I delegate all of
It's
that.
impeccable in here.
Nobody.
I didn't even see a dust bunny or anything
Yeah,
like that.
but I don't lift a finger when it comes to that. So that but again, if I'm exhausted from the day because I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm doing all of that, there's no chance we'd be having sex every day or every other night. So that's why I'm so passionate about teaching people, hey, if you can't delegate,
But that's what I mean by hustling. If you go hustle and you're making enough money that she's not stressed, then
yeah, I mean, there's obviously going to be people that are going to come back and say, well, I can afford that.
Yeah.
And I can
then work harder. This is my point. And I'm like, we're setting this example of what we're saying in this. We talked about, you know, the grind and the hustle side and then the family side. I'm like, it's not one or the other. I'm not giving up sex with my wife so I can just work 12 hours a day every day. And at the same time, I'm not just going to sit around and hang out with her all day and not go make any money, because that erodes. And this is the dance that's actually going on with people. And what I'm trying to get at is like, we've got to go grind. We've got to go do it. We've got to come up with things like that's all part of this human nature, part of things that satisfies us. And
What's 2026 look like?
Well, one of the things we did is this year we went to a couple different coaches like conferences, and I will tell you they were awful. They were like with people, and I'm not going to say who it was with, but if you knew who was putting them on, you would know who they are. But the conference was horrible. We didn't get one thing out of it. And I was thinking, if someone wants to really take their business to the next level, the way that I believe the next phase of it is doing a room where you've got about 10 to 12 other entrepreneurs. And that's why we're doing something at our house here in Sarasota where it's just 12 entrepreneurs. We all get into a room. We discuss all the problems that are going on. We mastermind together. That's how you create change. Not these big conferences anymore. I didn't learn one thing.
That founders dinner I did was amazing.
yeah, it was great.
Yes.
It was amazing. It was what, 8 of us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
Eight to 12 people.
Yep.
That's where magic happens. That's the next phase.
So we were talking downstairs about some soccer coaching experience that you've been having with your high school team, because you coach soccer high school, right?
Yes, I have been coaching a rec league for high school soccer.
How related is it coaching kids sports to leadership in business?
There's a 1-for-1 tie.
It's the same, right?
It's the exact same. As a leader, what's important to start is the foundational beliefs. I believe that everybody starts their day and they want to do their best. The question is, do they know what they need to know to be their best? Have they practiced what they need to practice? And do they have the person helping them guide through the way and removing obstacles? So coaching a high school team, this is the first time I actually coached a high school rec league. And it was amazingly rewarding to me to see that the kids started showing up on time, which was a big challenge, but they really took on to the coaching, to the practice. They asked me, what can I do to be better outside of the practice? And they went out and did them. And we could see improvements in a 10-week season.
I used to tell, I was a tennis coach for 15 years. And I told all my friends, whether you're getting paid for it or you're just volunteering, I strongly recommend that you find a way to coach kids, because besides the fact that it's very rewarding, it definitely teaches you the fundamentals of leadership.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This is like a tooting my own horn here, but you know, when you die, they say that you remember certain things, right? We don't remember, it's not about how much money we make. It's just like certain moments that you remember. So I also coached teenagers as well, and high school athletes. And one girl, she was the class valedictorian or something like that. So she invited me to her graduation and she had to give a big speech. I'll never forget. I mean, I still get chills just thinking about it. She wanted me to come and I'm like, all right, cool, I'll come. Great. She actually thanked me in her speech in front of like thousands of people that she's speaking to at the high school graduation. And it was just one of the most rewarding moments of like my life.
That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Congratulations on
Thank you.
that. But I'm sure in the same token, you can think of maybe 2, 3, 5 people in your life that have motivated you to be the leader you are. While trying to be the leader may come natural for some, what's important is there's some people that were there that helped you turn on some light switches that made you who you are today.
Sure. And you always remember those people forever.
Absolutely.
Which is a great opportunity as a leader. That's the opportunity that you have to make a difference in somebody's life. One of the most impressive stats in your career that you've mentioned is reducing employee turnover from 30% to 8% through culture alone. What changed?
I'll tell you what changed. Everybody likes to win. You coach tennis, I've coached soccer. Everybody likes to win, right? There's nothing more deflating than being part of a team that doesn't win. There's nothing more deflating to someone that I'm coming to work and I'm trying to do my best, but I don't know what good looks like. So the big pieces that we shifted was, one, raise your hand, speak up. Share your opinions. If you have a problem, let us know there's a problem. And by the way, my next question to you is going to be, how do you think we can make it better? So involving people in opinion. there had to be some changes that were done in the organization. Unfortunately, not everybody wants to partake in that environment. So those changes did have to be made. And you know what's interesting? You get 5 great employees, and you have one person, you have a 6th person that just does not want to get with the program. The 5 employees' performance is going to see a decline, or they'll start leaving someplace where the company does not put up with that 6th person.
Mm-hmm.
So part of the culture had to be, we're going to win. We're going to provide you the tools to win. By the way, if you don't want to use the tools to win, you need to be somewhere else. And they started creating that snowball effect. People would join the company, they'd enjoy it. 2-3 months later, they're referring their neighbor, their friend, their spouse, somebody to come in and work. Not only is the stat at 30% down to 8% employee turnover, at one point, about 30 to 35% of the staff was hired through referrals.
Mm.
And that, to me, spoke wonders, right?
That's great. Yeah. How important are core values?
They're your guiding principles.
Yeah.
You know, you have nowadays, most everybody, even when you're in your hometown, you will sometimes throw in the GPS just to see if there's traffic on your way home, right? Everybody's using that, or you have a compass, or you have something, you have tools that help you get around. Core values at a company level, not only are those that compass, but they should be, in the biggest essence, the deciding factors. Right? So we have a core value, which call it be accountability, right? And you and I are the same company, and we're sitting down at this table, and we're seeing a problem. And our core value is accountability. Now, we can fix the problem. It's going to take us an extra hour today, and you know, happy hour starts in 20 minutes, right? That core value, when it's lived by every single person in the company, and that's something that has to start from the very top, right? You can't just roll out core values, put them up on a wall, and not act to them.
That's what I feel 99% of people do.
You need to have core values. They need to be agreed upon, and they need to be lived. People have to see them. So if we talk about a core value of accountability, and we're faced with a problem and we need to fix it, we'll stay and fix it. And people, even without us advertising it, people will notice that that happened, right? So you need to live the core values. And they are really what helps the business guide through any rough situation.
All right. Because I feel like it's getting on social media, everybody's just like, forget core values. Because all anybody does, unfortunately, for the most part, is they just print them out, put them on a wall, and this is our core values. And it's always rolled out from the top to bottom without any kind of discussion. I had told you when we had lunch a couple weeks ago, where we did ours in a team meeting, and everybody came up with the core values kind of on their own. And I just feel like it hits home a lot more that way, where now everybody shares in their core values. These aren't just my core values. These are all of our core values. And it's much easier to run the business that way when everybody's come up with them. Like it makes so much more sense now. It only took me forever and a day to figure that out.
Well, there is, and this goes back many years, but I had read an article that talked about the probability of success equation, right? Right now you're probably thinking there's 10 factors on the table to it. There's really 2 factors, right? The success of a change has 2 main factors: how great of an idea it is and how well accepted it is. And they're both graded 1 through 10. So now you can show up at the table with your core values and tell your team, hey, these are our 6 core values. This is it.
And they could be amazing.
And they can be amazing. You may have pulled it from the best world-class companies. Right. And they'll sit there and they go,
okay.
Sure, right? So you have the 10 out of 10 on the idea, but the acceptance is probably about a 2. They're just saying, sure, and from what I've known, you would never do that, but
I've done it.
In some cases, I'm sure. But instead, you sit with people around a table and you say, what do we want to have as core values?
I just asked them, what is it to you? What is the company to you?
Yep.
What are the core values of the company, do you feel? Like based on working for me for these last few years, based on the decisions that we make, based on what do you feel are their core values?
So you probably come up with something that is probably not the 10. You had this 10 in mind, you came up with a 7. But the acceptance across the board is a 10. Those core values will stick. It's what people see and feel and portray in their behavior.
AI. It's an AI-driven world where everything is about automation and efficiency. Why do you believe that people-first leadership is still more important than ever?
You cannot replace AI across the board. Or you cannot replace people. With AI across the board.
I think some people might disagree with you on that.
Some people may disagree with me, and there's some processes where you may be able to replace people with AI. You can still not replace common sense. You can still not replace implementation. And you can still not replace the interactions that happen between people. So be it within a company, be it either upstream or downstream with customers or suppliers, there is only so much that AI has a place in the equation. Yes, in my business, we use AI. Absolutely, you have to, right? But in the past, we've used search engines, and we look up information, and we then try and digest that. Even as a person, if you take AI and you tell, even if you can have the best prompt and come up with a statement, you still need to put in your flavor.
One of my favorite sayings from John Maxwell is sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. How should founders rethink failure as they scale?
Listen, failure is part of the process. It absolutely is part of the process. You can read on many of these famous sports figures, right? Michael Jordan has said how many free throws he made, but how many he missed, right? That didn't keep him from playing. I love how, I think it was Roger Federer, he was giving a commencement speech, and he talked about the same thing, how many games he won, everything that he came to be, but how did he get there? Lots of failures. What's really important, and that is probably one of my favorite books, right? What's really important is that you don't keep on running into the same wall. And sometimes you may try something different and it doesn't work. Try again. Reach out to others. Learn from others, right? Hopefully, anybody in this business world, even if you're a solopreneur or you're working in a company, you have a network of people that you can leverage, right? There are groups out there. There's Vistage, a big group that helps CEOs and leaders get in a room together and
Mastermind
ideas, kick around, thoughts. And I've been in meetings where you have a pest control company giving a window manufacturer thoughts and ideas. So it's also about who's around you and who can help you build and learn from the mistakes.
Your story starts with a $50 Walmart detailing kit.
Yep.
Can you take us back to that moment and what pushed you to start?
So I was currently working at a farm job. I cleaned the horses' kennels, picked up their horse crap. I was working there. And the owner of the ranch, he used to always tell me, he's like, you should start a business. Figure out a business to start and just start it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? You fail. So I thought to myself, I went on Google and I looked up easiest businesses to start in 2021. So there was like 4 or 5 options. It was like landscaping, car detailing, pressure washing. And, I was already washing his trucks. And I was like, I really like this. I really enjoyed the whole process of, getting it from dirty to clean. So I went to Walmart. I had $50. It was my paycheck for the week, $50. I went, Walmart had this kit. It was a $27 kit. I bought the kit. It came with the basic necessities to wash a car. I bought 2 wash mitts. I went to the house, stole a vacuum, stole the buckets, stole the wash mitts. Anything that I needed that I could find around the house, I stole it. And then I posted on Facebook. I said, I do car detailing now. If anybody needs a service, it's $35 for inside and out. And if you have a truck or SUV, it's $50. My first customer reached out, Toyota RAV4, I'll never forget it. Toyota RAV4 reached out. She was like, hey, is this serious? Like $35? I was like, yeah, I'll do it for $35. I don't mind doing it. So then from there, I cleaned that car. She posted a review on the app. It was called Nextdoor. She posted the review. From there, we were booked out for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Off the rip. So we were booked out 2 weeks. I was detailing cars right after school because I was still in high school at the time. So I would go to my farm job. Right after the farm job, I'd go and I'd start cleaning 2-3 cars a day. And from there, we just kept growing, kept putting passion into it. And then it's been 4 years since then.
Where do you think you get the work ethic?
My dad. 100% my dad. My dad came from Puerto Rico. He worked at Disney, making $6 an hour, and he still raised my whole family. So, to get from $6 an hour to raising 3 hungry children with, straight from Puerto Rico, that's where I get my work ethic, is remembering where my dad came from and, all the sacrifice that he made when I was a child.
So you mentioned that. So you grew up watching your dad work for $6 an hour. How did that shape the way you think about money, work, and time?
I think that if you put enough work ethic towards something, it's not about monetary value. I think it's about growing that customer base, right? I do the free car detailing series, right? It's free. For them, it's completely free. But for me, it's a new customer that's going to pay me $120 every single month to detail their vehicle. And then do the math over a year, now you have 100 customers that are paying you that price, and you have a good amount of income that's coming in. So if you are focused too much on the money perspective of things, you're never going to make more money in business because you're never willing to, make that sacrifice just for that one customer.
One free car detail video ended up changing everything for you.
Yep.
What happened and why do you think it worked?
It was something new. It was something fresh. Nobody's seen it online before. It was something that it was never brought to the table because everybody online was making the same type of content, which was, I'm a car detailer, watch me detail cars. Cool, that's a good thing if you're just advertising a car detailing business. But at the end of the day, there's a million different people that wash cars. What makes me different, it was the perspective of, I'm going to just do it for free, record it on my Meta glasses, and let's record the customer interaction. And from there, let's see where this goes. And then we filmed the first one. The first one did 1 million views in the first day. And I was like, okay, I found something. All my videos before that, probably 200-300 views. That video did 1 million views in under a day. And I was like, yeah, this is what I'm doing from now on.
Did you tag the guy that you also?
No, I didn't.
You didn't.
But he found I gave him my information, and then he was just responding to the customers, because there's a lot of haters in the comments. So it's like there's a lot of haters that'll hate on people's cars. They'll say, "Man, I would never put gold rims on that type of car." And then he's like, "Where's your McLaren?" Or they love arguing with people, and that was the most thing. Is like a lot of people are scared of hate online. But you can't be scared of people hating on your content. That's just going to push the algorithm because they're commenting.
Right.
If you're not gaining haters, then, at the end of the day, you're not doing it right.
Right.
Yeah. So, it was awesome. It's just, the amount of customers that find because it's at the end of the day, it's a win-win for both of us. Because now people will see your type of content. They'll figure out, okay, this guy has a Lambo. Let's see what he does. There was one of them recently. We did a video with the Nissan GTR. He's pretty big on social media as well. He gained over 100,000 followers after doing a video with us.
Wow.
So it's a win-win because now they're being recognized for their brand. I'm being recognized for mine. And then now we have a relationship where I'm taking care of your car forever, and that's it.
Well, I can imagine the relationships that you're building now too with some of these people.
Yep. And then I get so many offers hey, want to come out to this car show? Hey, want to do this? Want to come to this podcast just like this? So it's more about one free car wash, but you're gaining so many more experiences, so many more opportunities to be better.
What was it? Were you already doing the free car wash for people or
just one? We've only done one before.
You had only done one before?
Yep, I'd only done one before, which was a G-Wagon. That video did 10,000 views because it was a nice car. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I want to tap into a luxury car market where people are going to be more trusting of me. If they see me detailing a Lambo, they're more likely to trust me with their Toyota Camry.
Sure.
Right? So where it came, I recorded the G-Wagon video. That one was free. I think it did 10 or 15,000 views. From there, I was like, okay, well, let's record with more luxury customers. He had his neighbor had a McLaren. He had his garage open. I was like, okay, we're going to come back to this. Pin it. I told Jordan, which Jordan's like a little brother to me. I was like, Jordan, pin this address. We're gonna go to the store. We're gonna buy the Meta glasses. We're gonna come back, and hopefully he has his garage open again, because then he's gonna think I'm a stalker. So then we got the Meta glasses. We went to his house, and that's a start.
You're not really focused, but you're still going to college.
I'm still in college.
Okay, but other than that, you're pretty much all in.
Yep.
You do talk a lot about cutting distractions and going all in. What does discipline actually look like in your day-to-day life now?
It's wake up every single day. We wake up and leave the house probably 7, 8 a.m. We're out already on our way to our first detail. We don't get home till about 8 p.m. 8 p.m. I get home. Everybody else wants to get home and just relax. I get home. I go straight to working out. And from working out, this was my schedule. It was 8 p.m., go work out. I finished working out at about 9:30, 10. From 10 till maybe 1 a.m., I was doing schoolwork. And at 1:30, 2 a.m., I was eating my last meal for the day, going to bed, getting up next day at 7 a.m. So it was doing that every single day for the past, since the year started. That's been my schedule, and my results are there though. Where
Right.
the business did amazing. This last semester I finished with all A's, and I'm still focused on every single aspect of my life.
A lot of people hustle though, and they stay broke.
Yep.
What's the difference between working hard and actually building momentum?
Invest all your money back in the business. It's not. Don't live flashy. Don't live this life that don't live a life that you don't live. Right? Like don't just for social media purposes. Don't start showing off Lambos. Don't start showing off Rolex and all this. You see, I don't even have a watch on. Like I don't care about all the material things. I care about reinvesting all my profits back into my business. I care about seeing results 5 years from now. I don't care about results right now. I care about the results that are going to come. That's where I come in. Like all my money is going back in the business. It's been like that for the past 5 years. Somebody told me that before. They're like, for the first 5 years, don't do anything crazy. Just spend all the money right back in the business, and that's what I've been doing.
All right, so let's wrap this up. For young service business owners watching this, what are they going to learn from your journey in this episode?
I think the number one thing that you should learn from me is it's going to take time. It's going to take hustle. It's not going to be easy. If you want something, go and get it. Like nobody's going to hand it to you. There's not going to be, there's not a magic switch that's going to make your business work. It's going to be you figuring it out. And if you can figure it out, it's going to work. And if you put enough time towards it, it's going to work. And that's my mission. That's exactly what I want to teach everybody online is if you believe in yourself, just do it. There's nothing that's going to stop you.
I knew it. See, I knew it when I reached out. When I saw your content, I was just like, this kid works. This kid hustles. Nobody would, again, I'm just saying, I don't mean to say that your job is hard, which it is hard. Nobody's going to want to just wash a car for free.
No.
Without actually having a vision in mind.
Yeah, there's always...
Or without having the work ethic to actually get down on your hands and knees, literally, and do a job for nothing in return.
Yep.
And just for the hope of the future business.
Yep. That's the whole thing. You don't ever have the mentality where I need to make money today, figure out how I can make money in, next month where they're going to pay you that $150, $200 to detail their car.
I love it.
Yep.
Lewin, that was fantastic. Again, guys, you could follow him. It's a great follow. Honestly, it's just so much fun to watch. I think I was on my kid liked it. I told you that in the message. I have my 3-year-old loved it. Was like watching it for also. He was just like because he loves cars. Yeah. By the way, like he's obsessed with cars. And watching cars getting washed was like we were watching it for like a good hour, So I do thank you for your content. I think it's great. Dad, thank you so much for raising such a hard worker, like your son. He's honestly it's commendable. And at 21, the way you're talking, I think is fantastic. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming on the show. For those of you out there, get after it, and hustle hard, man. Anything you'd like to add before we?
That's it, guys. I really appreciate the opportunity.
For sure.
And whatever you guys need, feel free to reach out.
Well, you might have a customer in me, so I'll tell you that. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching.